Howdy folks, hope everybody's doing well this morning. This soap is named Alaska. It says it's powered by Focus, and the focus it is referring to, not the focus of the camera, but this company, Focus. This is what the soap looks like on the inside there. You see the container's a pretty good size, plenty of room in there. Yep, it's got 5 ounces of soap in there, or what it refers to as 150 milliliters. Pretty soft, TFC type, TCF or TSF, there we go. I'll get it straight here in a moment. Got the Allen block this morning, no rubber band. It is getting somewhat smaller. Still got a ways to go. Got the mentholated witch hazel that is black ice scented, and that's got menthol in it, as well as the soap, as well as the aftershave, Osage Rub, and this one here's got menthol in it also, as well as the eucalyptus. There we go. That's what I was trying to remember. I've got it whipped up over here in a granulate bowl. Get some things moved around here. Got it whipped up a little bit bigger than what I normally would. This one here is pretty fluffy, with a synthetic knot by the way of Omega. And the shaver of the day is, this is a Gem G-Bar. It's got the flip top, and this will be the second use on this gem blade, I think. In other words, it was one that was left in there, so I'm thinking it's at least the second shave. Well, we'll find out how well it does. And I'm going to be using the Preshave soap from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. It's the scentless but mentholated Preshave soap. We're going to put a hot towel to the face this morning. You kind of see over here, this was earlier in the week, it was pretty good size, and I was using this shavette here. Not that this is this particular shavette's fault by any means, but I was using it. I knew the bump was there, and didn't realize how close I was to it, and I whacked it a good one. I mean, it wasn't a geyser, but it was a gusher, and and then I was paying too close attention to how much blood was coming out over there, and then I whacked myself up there. So needless to say, the next shave after that went to single edge shavers until I can get healed up. Believe it or not, this one here has went down quite a bit, but this one, the whack where I whacked myself up there, is still a little tender. May have got myself a little bit better than what I thought I did. I was more concerned with the gusher, of course. It took a little bit to get the bleeding to stop. I did dig out the styptic pencil. Yeah, and it stung. It was the stinging. Just it let me know that I had to cut there. Yeah, it was an interesting day. So the rest of the week I've been, I guess you might say, trying not to reopen them. Been doing pretty good. I haven't reopened this one here, but this one here gets opened up just a tiny bit. So hopefully today, maybe it'll start to heal up a bit more and won't open back up. It didn't start bleeding, but I could tell that, you know, the skin was kind of pulling apart. Wasn't healing up quite like I'd hoped for it to. So it's like I say, it's been a trying week with trying to heal up from previous shaves. Going to get started here. I thought this was a pretty good matchup with the menthol, eucalyptus, and working all those scents together. Just doubling down on the menthol. A nice cooling effect. It's been a while since I used the Osage Rub. I was trying to remember whether I used it with the same soap or not. By the way, this soap, if I can find it, I'll put a link to it down below. It wasn't easy to find the first go around when I first bought it. It just by chance that I stumbled across it and found it and thought, oh, I haven't seen that before. Thought I'd give it a try. This is going to be a good shave though, I think. Don't think I'm going to be bleeding unless that blade's got more shaves on it than what I remember. Typically after the second shave on one of these, I go ahead and I take it out, so I'm thinking there's only one, but it's been in there a good moment, so hopefully the edge is still good to go. Yeah, it was a interesting week with the shaving and trying not to reopen the wounds again. And it's been busy this week too. New tires on the car. Traveling here and there, and plus we had a little bit of weather that, you know, caused your travel to be a little bit slower. Got just a little bit of freezing drizzle and stuff like that. But it warmed up today. I think yesterday for a brief moment it got above freezing. I think for maybe 2 or 3 hours, something like that, then it went right back below freezing again. In other words, by the time I got off work, it was what, 29 degrees. Later on in the evening, by the time I got home, it was what, 26 degrees. That's without the wind chill. We'll see how I do here. Took Tony to go get his shots. And I wasn't real sure how much he weighed. But of course, when we went to go get the shots, filling out paperwork, wife asked me what I thought, how much he weighed. By the way, Tony's a German Shepherd, if you're kind of new to the channel. And he was supposed to be a puppy according to the text messages. And I got home and he might be a year old, still a puppy, but he's a horse. He's big. Matter of fact, we were trying to determine maybe what kind of German Shepherd he is. Don't think he's not typical. He's mostly black. And he's a pretty good sized German Shepherd. And anyway, it's not that he'd act like he didn't even get the shots. It was not, that wasn't the issue. It's just there was other folks there and he wanted to go visit everybody. And he's still learning. So he was quite a bit to handle. I mean, he wore me out trying to keep him from going seeing everybody. Anyhow, we finally got him up on the scales, and wife had asked me before we got up on the scales how much I thought he weighed. I said 80 pounds, and it was 79 point something or other, but anyway, close enough, 80 pounds. And he is strong. Sweat was running down my back. My shirt was getting soaked from sweating. I mean, I fought with him for, it was probably a good 30 minutes before he went in to finally get his shots. He's a lot younger than I am. Wrestling with the dog like that. We just got a collar, and we just decided we need to do our research and find a harness for him. Maybe I'll have a better chance of hanging on to him. Because if you get that, the collar was, I didn't want to get it too tight. Because, you know, all the hair around his neck, I didn't want it to create an issue. But he would slip right out of the top, you know, to the top of his head. So I always had to keep him facing away from me so I could hang on to him. And that was part of the wrestling. It was a lot of fun. We got done and got him home. He was a mess. Saw a posting on, it was a posting of a posting, a repost if you will, on how to grow a mustache, mentioning taking a puck of Williams mug soap, grinding it down with the cheese grater, taking whatever your favorite aftershave is, pour it in there, mix it up along with, I think it was 4 tablespoons of glycerin, and let the alcohol evaporate out of that container, which means you're going to be stirring it every so often. And I guess you might say kind of sort of making your own soap, if you will, with that scent. Which sounded like a good idea, because I still got at least 12 pucks of Williams mug soap. But I was thinking, about doing it with palm olive, a palm olive stick. Just unsure exactly what aftershave I want to pour in there. Which, then starts to factor in, are the 2 scents going to work with each other? I was kind of thinking about working with, see how, I was kind of torn in between, the inexpensive route would be using Barbasol, which is menthol. And it does have a slight scent of something else maybe, but for my nose it's mostly menthol. I was thinking about that, then I was also thinking about maybe I should use some Brut. I have a tendency to want to use Brut with Razor Rock's P160. An almond scent, in other words. For some reason, I don't know why. That's just what pops in my head when very first time I smelt that, and just Brut comes to mind. It's been there ever since. But it's a thought. I do have, of course, a person might be thinking of Old Spice, because you can go to the store and pick up a bottle of Old Spice. Not sure, in other words, we're working with Williams, would those two work together, or using palm olive might be a better route to go. I would say Arco, but Arco's scent, in my opinion, is a bit strong. I don't think that Arco would work very well scent-wise. In other words, not compatible, if you will. And I was thinking maybe another stick soap if I could find one. Something I'm wanting to try though. I think it might be fun. See how it works out. Especially on the glycerin, it mentions 4 tablespoons. Wondering if the 4 tablespoons is going to be adequate or not. Would think that it might be, I don't know. Not ever making soap before, of course, I'm not sure how much glycerin is necessary. I do have some, I've got a sample of Ginger's Garden's, her version of Old Spice. So I was kind of thinking maybe Old Spice would be out of the question since I already got a sample of that. I haven't used it yet, but I do have a sample of it. I was thinking about doing a shave with it here pretty soon. I probably should do it on camera. Yeah, earlier this week I was using What the Puck. Those 3 soaps, hard pucks. Those are easy to lather up. I mean, I don't know that people enjoy the hard puck soap probably as much as I do, but it's a hard puck soap to me is like you use it and you look at it and it doesn't look like you've done, in other words, reduced the size of the puck any at all. Seems like it's just going to last forever. If you've seen on maybe on Amazon, there's some men's soap like that's lavender or Himalayan. It's a hard puck soap that just seems like it's going to last forever. The lavender is really nice. The scent is very good on that one. I need to use that one again. Speaking of it, huh? I like it. It works well for me. I know some people may not like it, but it works well. Shave's going pretty good, by the way. This blade must be on its 2nd use. I was pretty sure it was. And the edge, I did put some oil on it, so that I think that may have helped keep the edge, I guess you might say, from deteriorating once you use an edge. I did wipe it off very carefully. Also, here in a moment I'll show you, I've got him sitting over here. Been reading him a book a little bit and noticed some postings. And that's because I'm really wanting to figure out how to get a blade to work in this shaver. Have to be kind of careful right there. It is still pretty tender. That particular day I was using Wilkinson's sword, which was shaving just fine. Until I opened that thing up, and I mean, it was just a gush. I mean, I got it good. I would almost say it's worse than when I whacked it up here. I mean, I felt just shaving the top of it off. It was, wow. At that point, I almost stopped to go to a single edge or even a double edge, because I noticed that, you know, at that point in time my focus was not where it needed to be. But I thought maybe I could finish up the shave. Yeah, that was a mistake. That's when I ended up whacking myself there. This soap is pretty good. It feels creamy. It doesn't feel like it's going to leave your face dry. If you subscribe to the thought of, you might say, not using the aftershave or anything quite like that, this is to me one of those kind of soaps that will do your face good, working some of it in before you do a real good rinse. Working it into the skin, I think, make a world of difference. Oh, I saw a comment on one of my videos about alcohol based aftershaves when you put it on right after you get done shaving, the amount of stinging that goes on. And I think probably what reduces the stinging for me from a alcohol based aftershave is the fact that I'm using an alum block. I think the alum for me, I think does the, I guess you might say, the trick of sealing up my little nicks and cuts or whatever that I can't see that I've opened up, and using the alum block seals it up so that when I'm using my alcohol based aftershave, I don't have quite the sting, because this took care of it. Still got a little bit of soap there. Because I mean, like right now, I get a little bit of stinging here and there. None right there, but it is still pretty tender. I don't feel anything on this one. Hopefully it'll be gone here in the next few days. Usually it doesn't take quite that long for these to heal up, but like I said, I did shave off a good chunk of skin there. Then I whacked myself pretty good right there. So in other words, I've got stinging going on right now, and by the time I get to the point where I'm going to be using my aftershave, I think the alum block has had a chance to seal those up, so the alcohol base aftershave doesn't burn quite like it did if I just went directly to it like I did with the alum block. My shavers, really like these. There's, I guess you might say, more or less two slightly different versions of these, and these are referred to as Ender's Speed Razor and Speed Shaver. And if I got this, trying to keep it straight in my hand, because I get him confused, which I can understand why people would. That's the reason why I don't, how can you say, when you see one posted for sale, I don't, how can you say, not picking at the how they named it, because it's not easy to keep straight. This is an Ender's Speed Razor. The handle looks like that. You can see that it's got a curve to it. You kind of see how thick it is. This particular one, the way it's attached to the handle, you see the post, the pin right through there. And if I was to pick in between this one and the other one, I like the other one, the way it's designed, better than this one here, because this one, of course, has been used a few times, but it is loose. And I think, in other words, over time, a number of folks probably experienced that. It doesn't, I would not think that once you place it on your face and once you put the pressure on there, it'll stay in place and you don't have, in other words, no ill effect. It's just the fact that it's loose that may bother some folks. And this particular shaver, this is what the blade looks like. See if you can see that. It's got little tabs, if you will. And the one thing I notice in between this, the razor and the shaver, is that these grooves over here on the side are just ever so slightly different. But this one here, in other words, this one is the Ender's Speed razor. And the shaver looks very much like the same thing. The head is slightly different. You got some grooves up in here. Blade goes in just like the other one does. But you can kind of see there's the design right through here. And the shape of the handle is similar but different. And plus, how it's mounted, there's no pin, and it doesn't wiggle, nothing of the sort. These you can find, the black one doesn't have the chrome strip down through here. I guess you might call this maroon or red, and it also comes in green. But I can't hardly wait to figure out how to modify a blade to fit in there, because the way it's shaped, it just seems like it's really, the handle, the head, this ought to be fun to shave with. I tried to shave a while back with the original blade. Oh, wasn't a good experience at all. The blade, you know, being old, the edge, you know, needed some help, and I thought about maybe tinkering around with putting in some paste on a strop and see if I can't bring the edge back on one. Just going to give it a thought. Maybe one day I'll figure something out on it. But I think it'd be great to shave with it. Just the way that it's designed seems like it's very intuitive. Just kind of a natural way to hold a razor, and shouldn't have quite the issue getting your angle. Looks like it ought to be a lot of fun to shave with. Besides the fact, I think the color, the way it looked, the design, just awesome. The reason for the name change, I think, is because between, I think it's Durham and Enders came together, and I think that's one of the reasons why they came up with the name change. This is great stuff, and it's inexpensive. This bottle here is 14 ounces. I think you can pick it up for, I think it's $7 if I remember right. I'll hunt one down and put a link down below if you're interested in hunting one of these down. It says invigorating splash for head and face. And it is pretty good stuff. I enjoy it, at least. That menthol effect just does wonders for my face, cooling it down. Especially if you've had a pretty close shave, may not be such a bad idea. What menthol seems like it does for the face after a shave like that. That's really close. This one here, though, in other words, didn't necessarily need the menthol to make my face feel good. My face feels wonderful. Soap does a great job. I enjoy it. At any rate, hope everybody's doing well. My battery's starting to run down on my camera. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe and smooth shaves to you.